You guys get to watch cartoons.
I brought this down for Earl. He should be, said he had to run back down to the pond.
Okay,
There you go.
thanks.
Hello.
Yeah, I saw him heading out.
We're on TV this time. We finally got it on TV.
Okay.
You guys can join us.
Well, the last time it was on TV, but there was no sound. On the first time that I watched.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was
I didn't
no-
know we ever got it on TV, so,
Yeah,
okay,
I think it was the second meeting. It was on, but there was no sound.
okay.
I see why you're over here now.
Well, there may not be sound today either. I don't know.
That room over there we were using is not big enough for that TV.
We what?
I said, I see why you're over here now. The room we were using over there is not big enough for that TV.
Yeah, well, we had to, supposed to tell on there somewhere if anybody's watching, but I'd be shocked if anybody is. All right, well, we will start as soon as Earl shows up. If he doesn't show up by 8, we might start without him.
No, hopefully it wasn't an emergency.
I saw him heading out.
Yeah, he
Just
was
a few
in
minutes ago.
he was in a hurry this morning
Yeah.
going somewhere. I don't know what he's up to, but
Did you guys see that Pacer game yesterday?
You know
did it
what?
Again, man.
I watched a little bit of it and I thought they're going to get beat 12 points, and I went to bed and I saw what happened after
I've got to the point where I only watched the last 8 minutes. The rest of it, I cuss and yell at them because they're doing so bad. In the last 8 minutes, they just become like.
I did that in the
super
last
team.
series. I started watching the last quarter. The other 3 don't mean anything
Mm-mm.
anyway. But I didn't do that last night. I thought it looked like they were going to get beat 12 points. I gave up on them.
Hell, they had 20 turnovers. They should have got beat by 50.
That's what they said. They didn't play very good.
No. I thought that OKC was some wonder team. They can't even beat a team at home and that does 25 turnovers. Eric, you been busy?
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it not? Are you too busy?
No. I just I took off last week with my wife. It was her birthday, so we traveled and kind of like a vacation type thing. And vacation's always bittersweet.
Yeah.
You get back. Yeah, well, she sprained her ankle
Oh,
before we
no.
were leaving, and we were training to go hike Mount Katahdin. She sprained her ankle the Sunday before we left, a week before we left. And she's on my ankle will be fine. Well, I never recovered. So we went out there because we had a place, but she couldn't walk. So,
Oh, that's so fun.
of course, you did get back and you have to catch up before riding.
Was it nice there?
It was a lot of bugs, though. You have to wear a face mask.
Oh, God.
And that
yeah,
makes the
yeah.
difference between having a good time and a bad
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
The black flies are pretty bad and deer flies. But yeah, we were pretty remote. Very little internet
How
access. You
far,
kind of have to
how
drive
far
around.
up
to find
north is that?
it. It's about the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is where we were. In Maine.
Get smoked?
I didn't see any smoke. We weren't in Michigan, we were in Maine.
Yeah, they got, well, nice. There's 207 wildfires burning in Canada right now. That's a lot, isn't it?
I don't know what the reference number, maybe that's normal. But I just saw
Well,
that
we're
smoke
going to
coming.
go ahead and get this thing started.
All right.
He'll surely be here in a minute. Figure this thing out. Too many electronics, George. Okay, I think we're recording. Okay, so we will open the Thorntown Utility Board meeting for June the 6th. We're all here except Earl. We're expecting him to get here shortly. We'll start with all you guys so you can,
You got here ahead of us.
that's fine. That way you can either stay or go on about your business when we're done. I'm sorry, I don't know you, sir.
Mike Lane,
Mike Lane, okay. You're up.
do I want Bear to stay here? I've never been here before.
Oh, we're comfortable. It's just like a
What-
meeting.
It's pretty loose, whatever.
All right, it's a couple things. I live down here behind Subway, and Noah's my son. Lane.
Joe Crumb's old house.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay, we have two issues. I guess start with them. I had the water shut off to the garage last year because we moved in, had two places taken care of, and was paying sewage.
okay,
And nothing's going to the sewage.
okay. Now, before you go any farther, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
You said you turned the water off to the barn,
Had the city come out and turn it off.
okay?
At the-
It's not been turned back on?
No, they won't turn it on until I come up and discuss it with you. Because there's no sewage coming from the garage. As I found out.
Okay.
Interrupt you or not, I don't.
All right. I'm going to make a suggestion to you right now, and you can do with it what you want. I would suggest that you talk to one of us or to Earl before you go where you're going in this meeting.
I asked the lady that last week, she said I couldn't. I had to come with me, but that's fine, I'll talk.
I would not bring that up in here today, right now.
All
And I'll explain later.
right, I think that's fine.
You could be going somewhere you do not want to go.
Okay. All right.
That's on the water. Now, is there something else you want to talk?
Yeah. The meter blew up on our house.
Okay, we can talk about that one.
Okay. All right, that's the main.
Okay,
All right. The meter blew up. It's the meter that went out. Because when they come out, took the thing out, the box was fine except being dirty from the blow up.
okay,
And they said they wouldn't, the guy coming for the weekend said that we wouldn't do anything else until we got an electrician to come in and make sure our side was good.
okay,
Okay, we did. Everything was good on our side. And the box was good, except the meter exploded. So that would have been on the city's side. So our point was to get reimbursed because of the meter blow.
Can I ask a question?
absolutely.
So whoever you got, your electrician you got, did he write a letter or?
I called 3 times to them. And they said every time they would send me a letter saying that it was the meter side that blew. And I also had a neighbor that used to work with you guys come down and said the box was fine. It's just dirty now. Because none of the terminals were loose, none of the wires were loose, and nothing inside the house was affected at all. Because we had half power for 2 days.
Yeah, so, well,
But did NIPA check it? Did NIPA come and check it?
He come out, they unhooked the wires. Like he said, well, I don't know anything about the box. I don't know anything about that stuff. And the guy working for you that weekend said he didn't know anything about the box. He didn't electrician.
Right, well, yeah, IMPA handles all of our electric
Well, the
stuff.
guy come down with the big truck and everything. And
Okay.
that's what he said. So he unhooked the wires, so we wouldn't do anything else trying to get power.
I think all we can do at this point, we need to talk to IMPA to see what they know.
Okay.
well, he needs to get a letter telling him that, saying that your interior stuff was all good.
Okay, yeah, that's
You
That's
really
probably
need that, you really need that letter, you know what I mean? We don't wanna argue or keep, I mean, if we did
Exactly,
something wrong, we
yeah.
wanna
Yeah.
compensate you for, I'm not speaking out of line here, but
No, you're fine.
you know, if you get that letter that says, hey, all our,
That's what I.
and then we can say, all right, maybe the meter had something faulty about it. As long as you have that letter from a qualified electrician that says, oh, hey, no.
Yeah, because where I stand right now, I'm no electrician either.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about electricity. That's why God made electricians. So, but the thing that's in my mind, and I mean, you get the letter and we'll get IMPA and we'll work this out one way or another, but you or somebody did electrical, everything was working fine. You did electrical work in the house. We didn't change the meter. We didn't change anything outside, and the meter blew up. So to me, just sitting here, it sounds like something changed on the inside because we didn't change anything on the outside. So that's why you need the letter,
Okay.
and we'll
I'll
get,
keep calling them.
okay, and we'll
Yeah.
get back with IMPA. We're not trying to brush you off here, but
Nope.
we have to,
Oh, I understand about the letter.
if we
I
just
keep trying.
replaced everything in everybody's house that complained about their
Yeah.
electricity, we, you know,
We were sitting there and the lights flickered. I just thought it was a city electricity.
yeah,
My boy heard it from the window, which we didn't hear it. He didn't say anything at the time.
yeah,
And then Friday morning I got up and the stove didn't work. Everything else was fine, but the stove didn't. It was 220.
okay,
So I ordered a new stove. I said, well, we might as well just change the oven out because it's the old ovens that Crum had.
right,
And then that evening, we realized we were running out of hot water. And I had a son-in-law, which does construction all kinds for city buildings. He put the meter on and showed we was only getting half power.
okay.
So then I had a stove and
Who,
oven.
who has the old meter?
They jerked it out and took off with it.
Hmm.
All I know is it
We
was
need
solid
them.
black with something bubbling out one of the corners.
Sounds like we're glad we didn't burn your house down.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know if you guys know Brian that used to work for the city. I don't know if he had it fallen out or whatever.
I know Brian.
Okay, he come over and looked at it. And that's what he's the one who was messing with it. And saying that the box was just fine.
Uh,
And everything up the pole was just fine.
okay.
That's why the name of the guy said that electrician. Brian said, why did you change it that way for free?
Well,
But that's,
yeah,
no worry about lawsuit. That's fine.
we want to do what's right, but we
I'll
need,
start calling them again.
Yeah.
3 times. They said they'd send something. They never did.
okay.
Do you have a copy of a bill that you're?
Yeah.
Can we take his copy?
Do we need to make a copy?
Yeah, if you look, this is the one I have.
Okay.
They emailed it to me, but I'm not sure about my email.
Oh, there's a copy machine. I don't know anything
I don't
about
know how
it.
to
Or we
run it.
can run it down to Sandy and get
Yeah.
one made.
It would be just nice to have a copy of what he has there.
Now, the funny part, he told me a 3 to 4 hour job would be $1,500. It took him less than an hour. But it was still $1,500.
Well, that's, yeah.
So Mike, can I ask some questions as well?
Yeah.
So just explaining, so IMPA is a third-party firm
Yes.
that, they stop at the meter base. And typically, the way it's arranged, the meter base is provided by the owner, and then the meter that slides in
Yeah.
is provided by IMPA. And it sounds like what had occurred is you lost a phase or lost the line from the power coming in from the meter. Is that correct? Where did he measure the voltage at, I guess? At the main breaker? Okay.
Yeah.
And then one was missing, and one phase,
No,
one
they
line was
both
missing.
had power, but half power.
Okay.
They both-
Okay. And then IMPA came and they removed the meter and said, this is something going on in your house, is what the lineman said. Now, the lineman's not an electrician, it's a different class. He's outside electrician.
2 guys showed up. One works for you guys, works for the city. I keep saying you guys, the city. And then as soon as he looked at the meter, he said, oh, your meter blew up.
Okay.
So he pulled it out real quick. He said, now, we can't do anything. We can't put your new meter in until you have an electrician or somebody come out and make sure, find out something happened in my house,
Right.
Okay.
which made sense.
Yeah.
That's what
So we don't burn, okay. All right.
Yeah, so if
Thank
it's on
you.
our side, yeah, I want to make sure what is it.
Right.
But then the electrician showed up, we told him nothing in the house was broken. And son-in-law does that stuff too, and then Brian, nothing inside the house was tripped, burnt, looked just perfect.
Okay. And do you know who the lineman was from Input that showed up? Did you get a card from
Young
him?
kid,
Okay.
just a young
That's
guy.
fine. What date was that when he showed up? Do you know?
Yes, you can find out who.
Invoice date was April 28th.
No.
So that would have been, I think, that Monday. I do appreciate everybody got down real fast Monday and got it back on for us.
Yeah, usually if it's an emergency thing, they get there pretty quick, but
Yeah, 'cause it
if it's
happened-
not an emergency, sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah. I believe it blew on Thursday.
So that'd been the April 24th, around that range. Okay.
Yeah, then Friday morning's when I realized something was off. And Saturday when we checked.
Was there any rain or not rain, thunderstorms or anything of that nature
Do what?
on around there? Were any thunderstorms? Do you
No, I
remember?
know that's why we thought maybe something hit a pole out of town or something like that, because it just flickered, and then it just flickered again, and that was it. Then the lights went dim.
Huh.
Didn't know anything until the stove didn't work, and from there on.
Okay. So sorry.
Let's see if we can make a copy of that. See if anybody up there smart enough to figure out this copy machine. It won't be
I'll
me.
take your shot. See if I can figure it out.
Yeah, we wanna do what's right. We just wanna make sure we're doing what's right, whichever way.
Yeah, I understand the paper actually got from like that,
Yeah,
called
but
3 different times over this period of time.
Oh, I understand that. I'll call you back tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is important. You can get you figure this out.
sure.
Why don't you? Give me your phone number, and I'm gonna call you about that.
Okay.
You can come back and bring that up after we call.
Hey, something's making noise.
Okay.
So we're all good here until we aren't.
Yeah, give me
Okay.
a second. Feet won't work.
So, George, what kind of problems you got?
Both my light meters are running too fast, and my bill getting too high. No, not really.
Well, I got that problem.
Flip the switch the other way. to go-
Yeah.
it goes off.
Well,
You got pictures of your vacation you want us to see or what?
this is my next line of work. I'm gonna become a lineman.
Okay,
This concerns Carol and I.
okay.
I don't
Well,
remember what month they
you know
done this,
what?
but it was last year.
I don't care about you, but I'll take care of Carol.
Okay. You come up here, you come up here and explain to him. He doesn't want to hear my guff. Anyway, last year they replaced, put new pole in here. That's it,
Yeah.
right there at her house.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever been done about getting the others off that so they can remove that ugly mess.
That's weird. You got some wires down there, man.
Tell me about it.
You must be running the whole town from down there.
I don't know who else has pole attachments, but I do know MetroNet's on there and so's Frontier. If
Oh,
there's
yeah,
anybody else, I don't know. who
I
it
got
is.
a bunch of them running through my backyard too.
Well, see, she has to look at that because it's all in her yard. The guy wires are in her yard, which they don't need anymore. And then, of course, we see it all from our house, right across the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Must have buried it.
Now this one here, they put that pole in the same day. Now that's over there at Steve Cole's, right across the street from Don and Corinne and me.
What's the address of that location?
And then this one's on the back corner of Carol's lot back there.
So they replaced all these poles and left all the old poles there too?
Yeah. We would like to get that old junk out of there. Who's ever on the old poles right now. I don't know whether it's you guys that have to contact the other utility people.
You know what
Or
you know
IMPA
what
has
my
to do-
bet is? Here's, I just thought of this. This is my bet, and it doesn't matter, it needs to be fixed regardless. So we put in those new poles, IMPA did, and IMPA put the electric lines on the new poles.
Right.
And IMPA doesn't move the cable lines,
Yes.
and the cable
No, they can't.
company,
We know
Yeah, it's a
that.
separate
and the
company.
cable
Yeah.
companies haven't come to do their part of the work.
We
Or they
know
may
that.
never do, will never do it unless someone tells them that the poles
Yeah.
are placed.
So
So-
we'll have to call the cable
Yeah,
companies.
Okay, and that's why Carol and I are here. We know it won't be done overnight, okay?
Let me
But
tell you
we'd
how
like
good-
for you to get a date, say like sometime within the next 45 days.
Let me tell you how to get them fixed tomorrow.
Set it hard to.
Go out there and cut them. They'll
Uh,
be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe
But I don't know
today.
who else is on those poles besides Frontier.
Don't interrupt my day of work.
I shouldn't say that.
So
No,
do
you
the
shouldn't.
poles need removed is my question. I
Yeah.
don't see.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can't remove them until they get the cable off.
the power has already been moved.
Oh,
It's just the fiber that remains. So the IMPA came in and
who's the company, who's the, yeah, oh, I know it, yeah, okay.
There's probably about 3 of them.
I know MetroNet's on it and Frontier. Now, we're still using MetroNet for our landline and our computer.
Well, MetroNet, Frontier, and there's another one that does TV.
I don't know
Can't
who the
remember
other
what,
ones would
can't
be.
remember what they're called, but yeah.
Doesn't
those-
matter, but whoever it is, and I don't know who contacts these people, say, hey, we're pulling these poles, we gotta get them out, give them a date, and have it set in stone, say, they've got to come out.
We will see what we can do,
Yeah.
George.
Yeah,
They just keep putting us
We
off.
should be able to get that done.
They just keep putting us off.
who's they?
Well, MetroNet and.
Oh, okay.
Companies, they don't,
I got you. So the other, not us, it's the other people that. okay.
Right.
We can get a hold, somebody.
But-
I mean, honestly, they don't,
Okay,
they
but
don't,
see-
they don't even know.
Yeah, they just.
I doubt
don't
IMPA
even
would
do
call.
it.
But see what gives you some leverage, says, I gotta get those old poles out
Yeah,
and set a date.
their first thing is, well, no one told us, will be their first
Right.
thing, so. Well,
I don't know if anybody, have you called those companies?
No,
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
don't know
they may
who else,
not,
I don't know who
They
else
don't
is
know.
on that
it
pole.
may be as simple as
Yeah,
they
they
don't
don't
even
know.
know.
When
They
you
just
call
don't know.
Frontier, you get somebody up in New York.
I know.
yeah,
We'll get a hold of somebody.
yeah, we'll, yeah,
But I mean, and those guy wires that are on the old pole, the new poles doesn't need it because the new pole's so much bigger. It's almost twice the diameter of what the old pole is. And those guy wires are right there in her yard.
We'll get the ones fixed in your yard,
I
Carol.
know about.
We'll get on
guide
that right
wires.
away.
I live on a corner.
Yeah, don't worry about what's in my yard, right?
No, we're not worried about what's in your yard.
I'm sitting in my chair, looking out the window, and all thing I see is this old pole.
Well, that's what, same way with Susan and I. We see it through our dining room window, our kitchen window.
Oh,
when we're
now you
sitting on
gotta
the front
drag
porch.
Susan into it, so now we gotta fix his too.
Hey, I have 4 poles in my yard, but all of them have guide wires, because I live on a corner. Yeah, it's,
That's a corner, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
see that?
yeah.
New pole that they put over there at Steve Cole's. Now, they did put a guy wire on it, the old pole, it's got guy wires on it. Those
Yeah.
need to come out
Yeah.
with that old pole.
Yeah, there's no sense in having all that.
No,
Yeah, I look out my window and I've got all those cable wires hanging down right where I live, but not much I can do about it.
What's the address location of this?
Hers is 500 West Bow.
I don't know, I suppose.
You can keep the pictures.
You don't wanna put them on the wall?
If I need more copies,
mean,
I'll just have Susan.
Once
make
all
me
that stuff's cleaned up, you might miss it.
If I need more, Susan will make me some more copies. She made those for me.
Okay.
But I thought we'd bring these up here so that you guys have a better idea. It's easier
That's-
that you see it
Pictures 1,000
than try to
words.
explain
Yeah.
it to you.
I thought you came because you wanted me to harass you a little bit, but you hadn't been here.
Oh, yeah, I do miss that. Hey, I waved at you the other day when you went by. I was there at Janet Reagan's.
Oh, did
You
I-
went
did I
flying
not
up Grand
wave
Street, headed for home.
back? Did I not wave back? What did you sell her?
Oh, you
your
did
truck?
wave.
I saw your truck down there.
I've been working down there.
Oh,
I'm,
I heard you're,
no longer there anymore.
Oh, you're
I'm
not?
on my second week of retirement.
you need to quit wearing the shirt then.
Oh, no, they gave it to me for advertising.
Oh.
They're not paying me for it, but
Now
Yeah, I
you
heard
convince them you need pants and socks and stuff for every month.
So you're remodeling that house. I thought Mike
Oh.
was gonna build a new house.
that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I was supposed to ask you guys about it. He's been trying for 2 months to get that pole moved down there so the contractor can come in and do their job. And they
Well-
haven't done it yet.
For 2 months?
That's what he said. That's what
That
he told
seems like
me.
a long time. When it's not, IMPA is really, they've got a lot of projects going, and if it's not an
Really?
There's
emergency,
Earl.
Hey, George, how you doing?
you missed all the excitement.
Did I?
Well, he said you went
Me
home
and
to
George
take a
were
nap.
down on the floor fighting a
Is
while
that
ago,
right?
and you missed
Well,
it.
he's the one standing up, so he must have won.
So how's Earl today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'd do it a pinch if they don't pinch too hard.
Okay, makes sense.
Tell him what you just told me.
That pole Mike needs moved down there at Janet Reagan's. Still hasn't been moved and the contractor can't come in there and start the construction until that pole is moved.
Oh,
On
okay.
Grant Street.
Okay,
They're at Janet Reagan's.
I know what you're talking. So you're talking about your son.
Yeah,
Okay, so talk to Paul nicely. I've never talked to your son, but your son's come in here, and his mother-in-law has come in here.
that's Janet. That's
right.
he lives at the house.
Right. So here's the process. They approached us about moving the pole. Now, we don't do that. You know that, right?
I understand
We don't-
that.
okay. So I contact IMPA. IMPA comes in, they look at everything that they want done, and they give them an estimate because they have to pay for that. And they have come up with an estimate. Now, what ended up happening was IMPA, I don't know, I'm not gonna point any fingers, but it took them a little longer to give us the estimate of what they should have. Now, the wording that they've done in the estimate is not sufficient. So I've had to go back to them, and I can go get you and
That's
show
okay.
you what they said. They're given two estimates, one's for overhead, one's for underground. And I believe Mike wants underground, but they're gonna give two estimates regardless. The wording in both of the estimates is the exact same. Now, I'm gonna have to go to Mike and have him sign the agreement, say, I
Okay.
agree to this work, I agree to pay this fee. The wording cannot be the same. He has to know what work he's getting done. So he wants a pole pulled and moved, and then he's gonna want 400 amp service. He's gonna want conduit run down the pole. The estimate does not say who's responsible for trenching. It does not say where the pole's being moved or if it's being moved to the residence specifications. It doesn't say these things. And I can't pass that on to him until it says those things. So I've been in contact with the guy who writes it up. I've been in contact with the guy who's in charge of the crew for this part of the state. Just so happens that gentleman right now this week is on vacation. So I haven't even been able to get back from him this week. So I'm stuck in the middle, trying to please make sure Mike gets his stuff taken care of. At the same time, to be honest with you, George, I don't want to go in and start firing bullets and say, hey, you get down, you get down. I don't want to do that. But we're almost to that point. So I've been in contact with them multiple times, not understanding why it's taken so long or why the wording, there's misspellings in this one. I can't pass on a legal document with misspellings. That's where we're at.
Okay.
Doing what I can, man, I
So we're
understand.
working on it.
So the scope of work is not complete on the proposal. It's basically, we
Correct.
just don't know what the scope is. Here's a
Correct.
price and, well, what's it include? We
Literally
don't know.
speaking, Eric, if you saw the scope, you'd be like, it says remove pole and run underground. Okay, dude, does it say put a pole back? Does it say who's responsible for this, this, and this? So if all of a sudden it doesn't get done, I say, wait a minute, they're gonna look at the estimate, the proposal and say, well, you never said that.
And that'll come to light when the contractor shows up or input doesn't have.
There you
job.
go.
Yeah.
That's right. So I have to have.
Pay for
all
the time
work
now or
down,
later.
And I'm, like I said, I'm calling them, I'm texting them, I'm emailing them, and I've kept all these things.
Okay.
So I can
But he
show.
just asked me to bring it up while I was here today.
Yeah.
Well, because I knew, see, I wouldn't have known any of that. That's why I wanted him to tell you what's going on.
That's fine.
Believe it.
Sounds like he's all over.
In the end run, we're trying to take care of the town. If it has to take care of the entire state. So I understand this.
But we're trying to take care of Mike and you and whoever else. We are. Believe me,
Almost
we
makes
are.
you wish we hadn't gone to him, but doesn't it?
Well, let me tell you something. Me and Earl were just talking about that the other day, and we are very happy that we went with IMPA with everything that's going on right now, because we would not know.
I know, I understand, because of new addition.
There are some pluses and minuses. There's no doubt about that.
That's true of everything.
Yeah.
I will add, George, for you and Mike both, that eventually when we finally do work everything out and he signs it, even then, I'm not guaranteeing where on that list he's gonna be. I'm not saying they're gonna come out the very next day, because he has to pay everything up front for them to even come out to do anything. And even at that point in time, I'm not positive, because they have to put it on a priority list. I'm not even positive, so I'm not making any promises either one.
Oh,
All I
you
can promise
can't,
you is we're
you
trying to
can't
take
for
care of
them. I
Yeah.
understand.
I'm trying to take care of it the best we can, as quick as we can. I'm running into roadblocks.
Yeah, and if hurricane season hits, the whole lineman crew from IMPA will be gone. They'll begin south, so.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of, my understanding is we've got this project out here running these lines. They've got 3 or 4 others just like it that they're working on in other places. So they got a lot going. Summertime, you should have started building in the winter. That's a better.
He started this setup deal back.
There's a community called Brooklyn down there around Barksville, Mooresville, in Morgan County. They're repolling the entire community. Repolling the entire community. I can't imagine that.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's just, but anyway, that's part of what they're into right now. And like I said, they have a crew that does the east side of the state, crew that does the west side of the state. So west side of the state is responsible for Brooklyn, west side of the state is also us.
Yeah.
I'm doing the best I can, man.
I know.
Believe me, I am.
It sounds like they bit off more than they can chew.
And that's a possibility right there too.
Yeah, unfortunately with utility, you can't forecast people's work then, right? You don't know who's got what coming.
And they're
in.
probably
I've been
like,
sitting in the same chair,
So
not
it's
that
really
exact chair,
difficult.
but one over there, where you're at.
It's just difficult to,
they're probably,
I was on this board like 2 months, being on it for 10 years.
10, I thought it was 15.
That was 10.
I've been telling everybody 15.
Boy, you've been fibbing.
Well, anyway, they're probably like everybody else. They're probably trying to hire more people and can't find them.
That could be.
I know at one time they were,
linemen aren't, I mean, they just don't pop out of the ground. They
Yeah.
have to be trained.
I know at one time they were trying to hire people, not that long ago, so.
I'll say for all the
Sure.
negatives, they have a very good crew. They're very responsive to us, and they've been very good to us since we've signed on with them. I understand this one particular situation, but overall, I'm very happy with what Hemp's done for us and what they provide for us. They've been a lifesaver. That big storm that hit during the festival last year, oh my gosh, if it hadn't been for them, and one of their crew members in town for 24 hours, just fixing lines, I felt bad for that guy. But anyway, they've done a good job for us, so I have faith in them.
Okay, well, I've done what I was scheduled to do today, so I'm happy.
Okay,
Well, hopefully we'll get your stuff worked out sooner than later.
yeah.
We'll start on it. I'm sure, like Eric said, these other companies just didn't know to do it. So we'll get them informed. How long has that new pole been in there?
It was put in there last year. I don't remember what month, but it was last year.
Yeah, I'm sure that just, Eric's totally correct. They just didn't know. We would've, I wish we would've known or even,
Let's see if they come down there, they can move all 3 of those at the same time.
yeah.
One that's there in Cole's yard, because then it
Well,
comes over
they may,
to
they
one
may
that's
not.
in her yard, and then goes
I mean,
on
I
to
can
the,
contact them.
Well, I think we need to get everything cleaned off, the old ones, and then
They might not care.
start thinking about,
I'm not positive why-
then IMPA will be the ones to come back to remove the old poles, I'm assuming, the electrical poles.
It's not just 2, it's like.
Yeah, so it's,
Unless the fiber company has.
It's a bad site for her.
I don't think fiber was gonna.
they
remove
won't,
the poles.
remove the poles, they just need to move their stuff to the new
Well,
poles.
we'll figure that out.
And,
We'll figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah.
because then they can take,
Let me give it a
if
shot.
we can take that old pole out, and see if you see that one, the new pole, there's a lot of dirt piled up there.
That's true.
So when they take that pole, that old pole out, they can take that excess dirt and stick over the next hole.
Yeah.
That's something
I would think if we tell them we want to move.
And then they, as far as the guy wires go, I'm assuming they still have this attachment because they're screwed in. they can hook onto that and unscrew them back up on the ground. If not, maybe they'll dig around them and cut them off. So I've seen it done both ways.
Well, from my perspective, from ours, this is day one for us. We didn't know.
Right.
So we'll see how quick we can get it done.
But if you would, try to set a date, say 45 days from now, to give those guys a chance to get over there, but just say, hey, such and such date, whatever you set, that's the day we're taking those poles out. So that it'll kind of push those guys to get the stuff off.
Well, maybe not the next meeting, but the meeting after that, you guys might come back and it might you'll either see it done, or if you have any questions, come back. I mean,
It's 2 weeks from today, right?
yeah, if you wanted to, but we'll start working on it. We will.
Okay, I know. If not, I know where Max lives. I'll hunt him
Yeah,
down.
go to Max. I can't give out my address or anything, but we know where Max lives.
But he'll tell me where you live.
Wait a minute, what are we doing now?
So if it don't get done, he said to hunt you down, kill you.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
This issue before Earl,
you better be careful, man. That's on TV
I
and,
don't care. I've always wanted to be a movie star.
yeah. All right, well,
So no.
okay, so this will be a first for us.
he's gonna work on your first problem and your second
You
problem.
ever deal with Comcast or anything?
No, I'm never.
Okay.
You know, when you
If,
Thanks, fellas.
if nothing's done by this time next year, come back and see us again.
She has to come back. She'll really be mad.
All right,
See
Thank
ya.
you, sir.
Have a great day.
I have a good day every day.
There you go.
Some a little better than others.
That's right.
And like I tell everybody else, God blesses me every day. When he blesses you, you're having a good day.
There you
Right,
go.
Max?
that's right, exactly right.
And that's on TV too, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I didn't catch his name. What was his name?
George Gideon
George Gideon. Okay.
and Carol Ford.
Yeah, this is Earl said this is a first for us to.
I wish someone would have brought, well, so they should have brought it up a long time ago. Somebody should have anyway, complaining
Yeah.
about it, you know. I'm sure that whole situation goes undone forever in a lot of places where they're in an inconspicuous place where people don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
no
re-
complaints, why would you stay
Yeah.
away
even
from it?
aside from them having to look at it, I just don't understand the need to have two poles side by side. It's
Well,
not a big deal.
I can
And it's like you said, somebody's just dropped the ball.
Right.
The cable companies probably don't even know the poles.
Yeah,
move.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I would be able to tell you exactly, but you go through town, there's all sorts of dead lines they no longer use. They get cut and they never repair them, so you know they're not being used. So
Yeah.
do you really think that they mind? I mean, I'm talking about.
Oh, they don't.
construction firms.
They won't do it if we don't make them. Yeah.
Well, I've rolled up lines.
I had,
That cable company left one in my yard one time from one end to the other, and I rolled that son of a bitch up, and I got my ladder and I put it up real high so they would see it. And it took them about a year, but they finally come.
I've got probably somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 feet of that stuff in a, wound up, hanging on a fence post out in the back of my yard.
Yeah.
It's been there for at least 6 years.
Yeah.
As I look at these pictures, I'm gonna bring up another point too, is, one, first off, time frame's gonna be terrible. But once even the communication company switches their lines over, now you got the idea of how we're removing poles. Now, we can remove the poles, but that's not an easy process. That won't be overnight. This is gonna be a long drawn out thing.
That's whatever.
Well, just we initiate the movement to the companies to get
Yeah.
Yeah, just
worker and,
We need to do our.
what
part.
George kept on saying.
our due
was-
diligence
Yeah.
and do what we can do. And
And George's negotiating technique, he said, was to give him a due date. So we'll see how that goes. It's like,
yeah. Mike Lane showed up today. We asked for something in writing from his electrician stating that the problem was not in his house. I was wishing you were here because I knew you had some information that I don't remember. But we're gonna have to get IMPA involved probably.
We need the
And-
meter.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah,
the
we
meter
need
to
that old
pull
meter.
because
Yeah,
what he
do we have the
described,
meter?
what he described to me was something that was not inside his house.
I think they kept the meter. Well, let me say this about it, and this is my coming from where I'm talking input from and my own experience. The only way their electrician could have fixed anything, which they did do, was if it's in the house. If it were simply the meter, we would have plugged in a new meter and it'd been fine. That was not.
Whoa. Okay. The rest of the story then, they pulled the old meter and put a new one in?
No, they did not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
they did not. I said, if it
Okay.
were simply the meter, all we had to
Okay.
do was plug in a new one and everything would be fine. That's not right. So whatever was going on in their house, which they admitted to IMPA and my team member, is that they had done the wiring themselves. IMPA said, no, there's something screwed up inside your house that's causing this problem. I cannot walk away from this and leave electricity live. He cut the lines at the weatherhead, which is the smart thing to do. He said, you have to fix whatever problem you have in your house, have this re-inspected, and then I'll come back out once it's okay and we'll make you hot again and put a new meter in. So whatever they fixed in the house is what ended up alleviating the problem. And then, but now said, okay, now we can rehook everything up.
Can I ask a question though? I'm just being devil's advocate here a little bit. So did that IMPA guy say that, did he even try to plug in a new one before?
No, he put his voltage meter on there, and he could tell by the reading there was something screwy going on in the house.
Yeah, what sucks is they probably didn't record that voltage. See, the problem here is that if, this is my opinion, with us, this is the difference between, this is the drawback of us not doing the electric. Because then Earl would have had the old meter, he would have known the voltages that were off. You follow what I'm saying? To be able to say, yeah, it's definitely, we really can't really totally positively say this because we don't have any backup either. I mean, if you went to court, they could say it was a faulty meter. I mean, to be honest, and then how could we prove it wasn't? If we don't have the old meter and we don't have written confirmation of the reason he snipped the wires, and that's a hearsay thing. I'm just saying.
But on the flip
You follow
side,
what I'm saying?
that same argument would go to, okay, then let me talk to your electrician and find out what your electrician did in the house to make it now work properly.
That's why I asked for that letter.
Right.
So was a repair done?
The repair was done in the house.
Do you know, but we don't know
No,
what
I
the
don't,
repair.
because that, again, was that electrician. And they call us up and say, okay, it's done, come back out and
Yeah.
inspect it. So whatever they did alter something.
Now here's something. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything here. I don't know, but it's just a thought through my head. So the electrician fixed something in the house that solved the problem. The electrician has told this guy that it was outside. And the electrician, now that we want a letter from the electrician saying what's going on, he's not sending the letter. Maybe there's a reason he's not sending the letter, because he
Right.
don't want to tell the guy that he lied to him that,
That's why I asked for a letter right off.
Yeah.
That you got it now. When you get into a situation where a guy comes up and he says, I got this bill I would like to get compensated for. Well, then you've got to start showing all your I mean, I'm for the guy. If it's true, if it would be, I'm for the people, that's who we're for.
right.
But if he can't.
But
if
you
he
can't just go around placing
No,
stuff willy-nilly, or you'll
Just-
have a line out here.
To be honest with you, I mean, if he could say, oh, no, here's what my letter says, and we read the letter, and then we, IMPA's, he says, whatever, I would be more apt to say, okay, maybe we'll split it with you, or we'll take care of it because your letter says here that had nothing to do with. I'm not an electrician. You guys that are you would know more about it. I'm just saying it from, if I was a mediator, in a situation, there's not enough information
Well,
to us.
yeah, we need to get the letter.
Yeah.
What did you say happened to the meter?
I'm not positive.
Yeah.
If it made off with it.
You think IMPA took off with it?
I think they did, but
We
I'll
might-
find out.
Find out if
It's probably
they have it,
trash somewhere now. That sucks.
get documentation or something from them about it, and then there's no point in us hashing it out when we don't have
We don't
There's
have,
nothing, there's
we
anything to
don't have
hash.
anything.
Yeah.
I wish we had the meter though.
The only, the point that whoever took a voltage measurement, at the time, that's kind of like the first spot, because if a line is dropped out, he can't drop the line out unless, depending on where he measured voltage, he measured it after the main breaker. The main breaker could be bad. If he measured it before the main breaker and the voltage was wrong, or, half the line was out, then that would indicate it's outside. If he measured it after the main breaker could be faulty, or, something in the system. Something that caused the meter to go bad from the inside of the house, you figure the main breaker would protect from any short circuit.
See, that's what I was thinking
Right.
too.
I think once we get
So
the
the main-
documentation, I think we're gonna know what's going on.
So basically, it sounds like we got pieces, all, but the chain of events of what he described was, well, gee, that does sound like there was a phase, I just keep saying phase, it's single phase, a line dropped out. So is it at the transformer dropped out, the meter, don't know, but a line dropped out, because the line doesn't drop out from inside the house, because that's not where the power's coming from.
Right.
But again, if it's after the breaker, main breaker, well, the main could be bad. And that could have been what the booger was. So
See,
if the electrician changed the main breaker after the utility had, then, okay, where's that main breaker at?
Mhm.
And that would say, well, okay, here's your issue. You had an arcing fault in this booger for a long time, or a bad connection to the panel, something overheated eventually. But something to that effect sounds like a loose connection.
Right.
Really what it comes down to.
It gets back to Joe said, we need documentation.
Yeah.
Nothing was changed on our end at all, so regardless of what we're thinking, we fixed nothing on our end, we made them fix it inside the house, and whatever they
Yeah.
did,
See, that's where
fixed it.
So they've got power, everything's on and
Yes.
everything. Okay.
that's where I was a little confused with what he was telling us, because I didn't think we did anything to make anything change, which makes me feel like it's inside the house. So anyway.
But what if I'm just, again, devil, what if where he snipped that off in between that pieces there, and had a bad spot in it, or I'm just saying, here's what
If
I
it had a
wish.
bad spot in it, it would blow a fuse.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
The on the line side, on the outside portion.
Whenever that IMPA guy comes, we ever have a meeting with him again, this is my suggestion, is that like in this scenario, if the IMPA guy would have held his meter up and just took a picture of it, seriously, that said, here's what my readings are, at least, I know it sounds stupid, but in this situation, it'd been a wonderful thing.
Well,
You
at the
know?
time, it probably didn't seem like it was
No.
gonna be a big
These
deal.
things always turn into that
Yeah.
at the time.
Okay, so the last thing on that is, he also brought up his other issue. I kind of shut him down. I said he needs to talk to, well, I said me, but us, before he brings that up in a public meeting.
Okay.
And he was good with that. Kind of acted like he already understood.
I think he's been hinted at enough. that he
Yeah,
knows.
so anyway, enough of that. So, on to what we came here for today. One of the things, I've mentioned this before, and I know you're aware of it. I'm just bringing it up again. And one of the reasons that this came to me again is because of the deal with Sandy and how fast we lost her for a period of time. There's nothing saying that's not going to happen to you too. Maybe not the same thing, but something happens to you. We need to get those two guys certified in some of this stuff, take their certification tests, and you might want to have one of them take one thing and one of them take the other, and then switch them, just so if you go down, we've got people that can do what they need to
Back
do.
up.
That's not probably
You're
the
wanting
best way
backup.
of saying
You're
it.
wanting backup.
Yeah.
Just back up.
Insurance.
Does that make sense?
Sure, I know what
Yeah,
you're saying.
okay. And I know you can only do it when they do it, but that just kind of, I thought, man, if something happens to Earl, those guys can't do anything right now. And we don't want anything to happen to you, Earl, but,
Is
uh,
your entire crew pretty new?
New.
New. Okay, so they've all been hired within the last like year or two?
One, not quite a year yet, one maybe 3 months.
Okay.
But how they doing though? They doing all right?
Yeah, I like them. They're
Good.
gonna be great, yeah. So we're fine.
Usually the 5-year window it takes to burn in a job. So.
yeah,
Well, they're
yeah.
young though, so if they
Well,
stay happy and.
And this is where we're very fortunate to have IMPA. We,
Do you have any of them slated in your mind that would probably be a good fit to take these tests? Because sometimes it takes a test taker, you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't have either one of them above or, I hate to use the phrase, you do have to be a student, willing to study hard, and you have to be a test taker. Not every student's a test taker.
Agreed.
I'm still feeling that out with them. So I can't answer your question.
So I'm not familiar with the exams. Can you get practice exams?
First off, they'll take a course that will help them prepare, and that's the course is just to help you prepare for it. And there are study guides, and there's going to be books. We already have books that they're going to have to read. So that's what will prepare them for the exam. Now you can walk in the exam cold turkey and just try and take it. The failure rate for the drinking water, failure rate, 87%. Only 13% pass it. The failure rate for the wastewater is 70%. So there's a high failure rate. So you have to be prepared to take these tests. I'm just telling you. I'm not going to rush either one of them, obviously, into it because they're not going to make it.
well, no, I'm not suggesting that.
know.
I just,
know.
yeah.
So you got to work through some stuff. And
Yeah, like I said, the only reason I brought it up at all was I was Sandy, and I got to thinking, man, I mean, if you're down and can't, I guess we got Gary, but he's kind of expensive. I mean, there's some things they cannot do without that certificate, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Even if they know how, they can't do it without the certificate. Yeah. So that's the only reason that came up. Now I got another kind of dumb one here. And
I'm sorry, one more question on that.
Oh.
What's the courses they have to pass that we're trying to get backed up? A water operator and a wastewater operator?
Wastewater, and there's a distribution one, and then there's a treated water one.
And these are the three
And then-
courses.
There's 3 separate courses for what we have in this town, yes.
and then what about the truck?
That's a CDL, that's something completely different.
I know it's
That's step 1,
I know it's completely different, but at least one of them needs to pass that.
absolutely.
And the other thing about this is each one of these things they do, they get a bump in pay. It's set up where if you get your CDL, you get a bump.
They should.
Yeah. And if you
Well,
get
they do.
water,
So next question, will they be allowed to study during work hours or are work hours already allocated for other activities?
They were, they'll get the given time. Now, I think you know this. I took vacation time to study for mine. That's just what I did. I'm not expecting them to do that. That's just what I did. Because you cannot come in here and work and think, okay, maybe an hour or two. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Especially it's spotty.
Especially if you're, 5 minutes, takes you 20 minutes to get your head in the book again. And then Earl comes walking in the office and we got to go clean something up.
But my attitude is anytime they're giving out, this is for their job. We should consider that when I'm giving them.
Right.
opportunities.
No, I don't have a
think
problem
we
with
should,
that.
Yeah, give them time.
But I think you're right.
To take the test?
Say that again.
What's the cost of the courses?
Now, I don't know what the cost of the course is. Take the test up here, you take it out of your tech. You register and it's $30. Now you gotta go through IBM, have them approve you first. That's $30 on top of that. So it's minimal.
Yeah.
yeah. I think they should have time at work to do that, but I also think if they don't study at home, they're not going to pass it.
Well, it's their job. They know that too.
Yeah.
So I guess if you passed all this, so how much time did it take you? I'm just curious, I'm just curious how long it took you to feel comfortable
Well, first off, I prepared for each of them for multiple months, so 5 to 6 months. And there were a couple months in a row where every day after work, I stayed in that conference room until 7, 8 o'clock at night, just studying.
Yeah, see, that's a lot.
Well, there's 3 licenses,
Yeah, I know.
3 tests.
So I guess my question would be, I mean, would it be out of line to like have like a 1 hour study session a week? Could you get an hour in a week doing that? Like actually pull them out and put them in the conference together, or one, however you want to do it.
I think something along those lines is great and called for. It'd be have to be more than 1 hour.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I know Earl, he'll try to find time for him.
I think we should.
And I think
it's a good idea.
whatever time we can create for him I don't have a problem with that at all. But again, if they don't work on it some at home, they're not going to pass it.
Well, I agree, but at least if you say, hey, we're giving you the time to do this, so please.
Yeah.
Most people, if they really like their job or want this job, or if they see they can make more money, they're gonna, obviously.
I mean, it's just like anything else, Pat. If you work for a company and you want to improve yourself, you go take a class. Well, some places you have to pay to take the class
Yeah.
yourself, and you have to use your own time definitely to take the class.
I don't know about any of them kind of jobs. My jobs are always.
Well, Caterpillar was good about, they would pay for most of it if you wanted to take any class that had to do with what your job was.
Yeah.
You had to do it on your own time. I mean, you had to go to the classes on your own time. You had to do your studying on your own time, but they paid for it. They didn't give you a bump in pay unless you used that to get a promotion or something. But
I know, but
we're telling them right now, if you go do this, you're going to make, I don't know what the amount is, but it's X amount of money an hour more.
But this job, it's somewhat of a requirement to have them down the line, have this, right?
Well, yeah, but we could have said, we're not going to hire you until you go get this stuff. That's hard to do because there's not
Yeah.
many people that have
Yeah.
it.
I'm
I
just
think
saying,
we're fair. I think we're being fair about it.
That's all I'm saying. We
Yeah.
just need to be fair. To
Yeah.
give them enough, and you guys know, when you're busy, when you're not, and when I'm just.
Okay. I got an easy one here, hopefully. Seems like it ought to be easy. I just noticed this morning, and it's not due tomorrow. Maybe it's nothing that needs to be done, but our neighbors over there have some trees that are hanging way over our barn over there. They look like healthy trees, but just something that we need to watch, I think. And
Are you talking about the one in the backyard? Or are you talking about the 3 that line their house right over here? Which one are you?
well, this was kind of towards the back of the barn. It was a big maple tree, and it was way over the barn.
Well, you should see it before. I can't remember the gentleman's name that bought that house, but he trimmed them back tremendously. You should see it before you trimmed them. Ooh, they're even worse.
Oh,
But you're right. Yeah.
okay.
I just over the utility barn.
Yeah.
Look at that. And you are in fact responsible if you could draw a property line straight to the sky. You're
Yeah.
responsible for anything that hangs over it. So you
Right.
go over there and cut anything you really want to. I
Yeah.
wouldn't just butcher their trees so they have.
Right. I don't want to be a bad neighbor, but
He's a very good guy. I can talk to him and say, hey,
Okay.
we really need to trim this back. We're going to do it for you. Do you mind?
Right.
Just let him know. But you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a good guy,
because
it's not an issue.
that's an act of God. If it fall in the barn, it'd be our insurance. It wouldn't be his or nothing. I found that out the hard way when the neighbors tore my house up.
sign on the building looks good. And just for your guys' information, Earl knows about this. It's not a big deal, but we're having a town trash day coming up the end of this month, and they're going to take the trash. They're taking it down to Mill Street. Is that right? Anyway, Dalton is going to take our loader down there to help load the trash into the bins. And there was some question about getting him paid because of, I don't know, ghost employment or something. Anyway, we got it straightened out. He's gonna get paid. And that's all good. So if you hear anything about that, that's what's going on
Through the
with
water
that.
department, of course.
No, he's, well, see, that's what they were trying to do at one point, was they said they couldn't pay him overtime. Well, then they wanted us to have him work 20 hours or whatever during the week, and then he could work Saturday and we wouldn't have to pay him overtime. And I said, well, wait a minute, if we do that, we're paying him. You're not paying him. This is the town's project,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So anyway, it has something to do with the fact that he gets paid by us and he gets paid by the town. And if we paid him to go down there, he was getting paid. I didn't understand. Anyway, it's all worked out. Doesn't matter because we got it worked out. And at that, I think that was all really, no, I'm not going to bring that up. Never mind. I'm done. Eric, what do you got?
Nothing, sir.
Done? I like
You
it.
shouldn't even ask me anything, you know, I always have stuff. I got a couple things.
Okay, well, that's
Hey,
why we're here.
have we made any progress on finding a trench box yet?
I looked into them and we talked about aluminum because the steel are just way too heavy. We don't have the ability. You're looking at about $5,000. And I know we're talking about safety. I know that should have no price tag on it. But at the same time, I'm trying to find maybe a better deal without substituting safety.
Well, okay, yeah, that's cool. To
What?
me, that's a great.
I don't remember the agreement on that. Was the town paying for half or?
This was all between us anyway.
I don't even
We
know
never
if
took
we brought
it
it up to
further
the
than
town
us.
yet.
Well, I think we talked about it at a town board meeting.
If we did, I don't recall.
I think we did because they were all for it too. And I think our argument was that a lot of the times we do that is the sewer, which that would be partly coming out of the sewer and then partly coming out of the water, which I don't know if we were trying to figure out if the street department had anything to do with that or not. But yeah, I think we were going to split that around a little bit. Of course, if it's sewer and water, that's kind of,
I have a question. Are those certified before you get them?
That I don't know. I have no idea.
Because you know, a lot of safety equipment has to be certified.
well,
That it's not, I mean, so obviously a brand new one, you know it's going to be.
I was going
okay.
to say, I would think it would have to be certified before they could sell it.
But I mean, if you look around and find a used one or something, I don't know. I mean,
I don't really think $5,000 is that much for
I don't
a
either.
big old piece of steel.
I don't
Well,
know.
it's aluminum and those are the smaller ones.
Oh,
I mean, there's so many varieties.
You don't need a
width,
giant one though, do you?
length, height. Not really,
No.
but at the same time, if you're gonna get one, you might wanna get a medium one, so that, oh shoot, this one's too small.
Yeah.
Or we don't want a big old clunky one, it's too much trouble to get at. But anyway,
here's a question for you. Do we need them a lot?
no,
Can you rent them?
that I don't
I don't
know.
know. I've never
I
seen
thought
them
about
in a
that the
rental-
other day.
I've never seen them in a rental
Yeah.
yard.
I don't, yeah, I have no idea, but I was thinking, man, if you could rent one, that'd probably be the way to go. No more than we use it, but I don't know.
Except if you're, unless.
I would look on the internet, like Sunbelt Rentals may have something.
You know, that way you don't have to store it. You probably costs $3,000 a day to rent it. So
Yeah, see, that's what I was gonna get, because it seems like all safety devices that are rentals
yeah,
are way more expensive.
yeah,
than normal stuff.
it may not. I was just thinking, I didn't think we really used it that much, but
Yeah, but again, it only takes one accident before that $5,000 is a drop in the bucket.
well, exactly. I'm not saying don't get one. I'm saying either we rent it or we buy it. I'm not saying
Yeah, I see. what you're
we don't
saying.
use it that
Yeah,
often, so
yeah.
we don't need one. That's not, no.
I have no
wouldn't.
idea. I've rent a lot of stuff and I've never even seen one of them in a yard.
Yeah. I'm okay either way, honestly. We have, obviously, before we buy it, we got to pass it through the board, but, yeah.
That was and I dropped I found a meter base.
Is that where that came from?
Yeah,
I just all of a sudden showed up.
It's brand new, man. It looks brand new to
Yeah,
me. It
I
was
know.
in my storage. I thought, what the hell do I have that for? And so
Okay.
I thought, I'm just gonna bring it up there.
All right, well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
That reminds me of another question. I think we answered this one other time. Meter bases. Do we provide those?
Not anymore.
We don't do it
No,
anymore.
If
Okay,
you
that's what I
recall,
thought.
Laney read to us the ordinance, the town says we're not paying for anything anymore.
Okay,
So our responsibility for this electric company, our responsibility stops at the weatherhead. From the weatherhead on down, even though we'll put the meter in there, from the weatherhead on down, it's all on the consumer.
okay,
We provide nothing.
okay.
That's pretty traditional.
Right.
So what can the, let's say, okay, so you're saying the homeowner has to provide it, right?
Right.
Just the base.
Are there, yeah, but is it like this is the only kind of base there is?
It's a standard size for 100 amp, 200 amp. As you move up, they change in sizes. So it's, even though there's multiple companies that will make them, if you look at them, you can't really tell the difference.
That's what I'm saying, they're interchangeable,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Because
you should-
otherwise I think would suck if
Right.
a homeowner spent all the money,
Yeah.
puts a base in, you go to plug it in and it freaking won't fit.
That's the electrician's responsibility to
Right.
ensure and check and get the matching.
And then
Okay.
the guts
Yeah.
inside are all universal. When that's the important thing, what's inside, and it's all universal.
Yeah, and if a homeowner's doing a service entrance like that, I'd be concerned. A handyman must have done it before. So
Well, that's
if they
come
don't know
up a
what to
couple
buy, then
times,
something
and
probably should be
I
installing it.
was pretty sure I heard that, and I wanted to make sure, because I think you said something, that might have been this morning about. we
Yeah, I
furnish-
just didn't know if that was a common thing for towns to do, was to
Yeah.
make the homeowners pay. Because it does hold the base. I mean, it has to be there for the meter. It's not like they, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm kind of on the fence about that. It seems to me like the base and the meter go together. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but we have an ordinance and.
okay.
Yeah, in other communities, it's what's described as.
I
very
think
common. You have
I
the
think
weatherhead come
communities
down, the wires
everywhere
run.
are paying less and less for, just like running the lines. Lebanon quit paying for that. We obviously aren't paying for that, because when you start getting all this building coming in, it adds up pretty fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, then the utility rate has to go up if you're gonna do those,
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know.
So me
So
and you have to,
everybody gets to pay for. the
so
new
me and you
homeowners
have to
base,
pay
so-
for their meter
No,
bases out there.
I
and-
understand. I'm
yeah,
just,
Right,
I'm not
Okay.
against charging for it. I just
right,
wondered
yeah.
if that was a common thing.
How much does it cost?
About $100.
Is it really that much? I thought maybe it was like a $25.
There's nothing electric with aluminum or copper in it that's gonna be $25 anymore.
Okay, well, I guess, I don't know what all's
Well, a
involved
picture
in
of
it.
it's probably 50.
Aluminum tear stick, I mean, you just wait. You think the
Yeah.
electric's expensive now? When you think your transformers, the cables, everything's made out of copper and aluminum.
Okay,
That's it for me.
I have nothing for years.
you got nothing?
Yay. Can you pause the meeting? Or
Oh, I do
end
have
it? So
one.
I'm curious about the. Good.
You what do you say?
Are we done?
You, yeah.
Wait, I got
we
one
can-
more question. Is there an update on the wire coming for the new housing addition? I saw a bunch of trucks over by the fire station.
I think that's Duke, isn't it?
Well, that's actually IMPA that's laying.
Oh, IMPA's working on it now?
There,
Okay,
right. And they're all the way to the gas station, and they're waiting for this weather to pass to continue their work. But they've made their way up 75 to the gas station.
okay. They're
That's all I
supposed to
was-
have it, they're supposed to have it done in time, which is
Yeah,
July
I don't think
something.
they're worried about it. I think they're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of trucks. That's all I was wondering.
I wasn't sure if if IMPA was involved yet or not. I couldn't see the sign on the truck down there, so.
I thought that was a bunch of input trucks, and I didn't know. I just want to make sure that's in fact what they were working on. Otherwise,
That is.
there'd be a big problem down there. There's like 5 or 6 trucks.
Did we get the pole out of the way that, the truck guy down here wants to move out there and wanted to pull?
Well, his thoughts were, you're talking Dickerson. His thoughts were the lines weren't going to be high enough for his trucks.
Oh,
Oh, these lines are And I checked with him before we went further.
Okay, so everything's good,
Not
okay.
even close.
All right. I'm done.
I'm done.
You sure?
That was my last question.
Okay, then we will adjourn the meeting